Glad to be here. I want to dive right in. We've had a lot of different types of messages through this event so far. Some instructional, some motivational. I think the objective of this breakout is to really give you some goods on different parts specific to the business. And I think about the SC1 and the SC2 push period. I think about the push periods that we have year-round and what we get a chance to do, what we get a chance to develop. These have always been big for me. I know there's different people in the room from a standpoint of what you did as a representative, but for me, this was my bread and butter. I sold about $300,000 of the Cutco. Personally, I think 270 or so up until I became a district manager. I think 80% of that came during push periods. Whether it was a January push, I was back over Christmas break, or whether it was an SC1 or an SC2, or at the end of my branch, what I sold for the SC2 push period through the month of August. A large portion of my sales, personally, came during pushes, and I really carried that through to my business. I think about why push periods are big in our business and what they get a chance for you to do. I think there's really four things. Number one is the culture. You want to create great culture in your organization. Your push periods give you an opportunity where you've got everybody locked in and you have the attention of people in a different capacity that you don't always get. Push periods give you a chance to really create the type of culture that you want. I think about PPR. You can definitely increase days 1 through 3 or days 4 through 10 in your fast start, super important. But if you want to really move the PPR of a campaign, you move your pushes, you're going to move the PPR of a campaign, you're going to move the PPR of the overall PPR of your reps in your office. I think about standards. I think about getting a chance to create standards for your people of what you expect when they're called upon. What do you expect for people when you call upon people in your organization? What do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to do at any point in time where you ask for them to step up? What are their expectations of that? And I think about development opportunities. So I'm going to give you a few keys in different parts to the setup, the execution, and some of the things that we do in our office, in our division, and then also that we've kind of permeated through the Eastern region. So number one, I would say, is to appreciate the impact. When I think about the impact, and I'm going to focus more in on SC1 and SC2, because I think if you really move SC1 and SC2, specifically SC2, SC1's kind of a buildup, in my opinion, for SC2. If you move those two push periods, you're going to move your organization for the year. I'm just going to show you top 5 right now district managers. Doesn't include DVM offices, but these are top 5 in the Eastern region right now. For the year, you'll see over on the right-hand side, you'll see their SC1 and SC2, and you'll see the percentage of their year. And this ranges from South Charlotte, 23%, up to Miami, 41% of the year from SC1 and SC2. If you want to move your organization, this is a great spot to start. In push periods. You'll see Clearwater, 36%, up to 41%. And you'll see the SC1, SC2, typically, something I've tried to live by, SC1, SC2, if you take those two pushes, add those together, that's going to be about 50% of your summer. Okay? That's our goal. So if we want to have for this past summer, we wanted to have $1 million summer. We didn't quite get there. We had a strong summer, but it wasn't $1 million. We needed to do $500,000 during those push periods. And we ended up at 286, just shy of 300,000. But our SC1, we didn't get to 200,000. We did like 140,000 or so, for SC1. That's what hurt us. So for next year, if I focus more in on that SC1, increase that by 60,000 in our office specifically, that's going to move our summer. So can you have metrics? You hear a lot about metrics for newsletter and sales report and things like that for reps. What are your metrics for pushes in your office, for the summer, for the campaign? What's going to move it for the year? So appreciate the impact. Number 2, start preparing 3 to 4 weeks ahead. Start preparing 3 to 4 weeks ahead to build this properly. And I'm going to go through a few things that we do to build that and to start to prepare in advance for our push periods. Number 1 is we do workshops leading up to the push. We don't wait until the push starts to begin workshops. I think a lot of the time it's the workshops don't really begin until a day before the push, or the push starts and the workshops begin. This is kind of our process in our organization, our division. 4 weeks out, we do a workshop on closing. This could be either before the team meeting. I would not recommend just making it part of your team meeting in a normal event. I would make it something where you give energy to the push that's coming up, and this is why we're developing and working on this skill. So 4 weeks out, we do 2 parts of it. Number one is they do their close, and we kind of get a check on where they are 4 weeks out, and then we're working on that skill set leading up to the push. Remember, some of those people that are 4 weeks out, you're going to recruit some people 3 weeks, 2 weeks, a week out that are going to be a part of big players for the alliance or big players for the push. But these are some people that have a little bit more time to develop and work on that skill. 3 weeks out, we'll do recommendations. 2 parts to that. We'll have them do their recommendation approach, quiz them, see where they're at on that skill set, and then we'll work on recommendations and their approach. 2 weeks out, building your attack list. I'm going to come back to this one. This is the most important, in my opinion, is what's their ammo going into the push? How many names and numbers, and what does their attack list look like? I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then a week out, we do an attack list recognition of where the top people are so far on their attack list, have them share a few things, and then building attack list part 2. So this is our 4-week process of building into this push. So I want to talk a little bit more about this workshop. I asked some of our district managers of, what are some of the things that you feel like are a little bit different? And this is, in my opinion, for our organization and something that is permeated through our division, something that really, really helps. There's 3 things that we do in this first workshop to build the attack list. Number 1, we need our people understanding why. Why are they going to go out and get a lot of names and numbers? And it's not just for the sole purpose of having a lot of appointments, but I want to get them tied into the fact when I'm teaching this, I want to get them tied into the fact that this is going to make you more marketable. The fact that you're willing to go out there and collect and build a large network. Hey, you might have started the job 4 weeks ago. You might have started the job 2 months ago. And you might have started with 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 100 names and numbers. That wasn't anywhere near what you could have gotten to. This is something I talk to our top people about a lot, is can you become the person at your school or in your community where all the moms and dads tell your mom and dad, man, I wish my son or daughter was more like your son? How do you become that person? How do you become the person when your mom's at church, she has people that walk up to her that don't even know her, but because you did a demo for them, they walk up and they go, man, I'm super impressed with your son. I'm super impressed with your daughter. I wish my son or daughter was more like them. I wish they were working that hard. How do you become that type of person in the community? And the only way you do that is by getting yourself out there. You have to get yourself out there in order to develop. So your people need to have a different mental capacity instead of just building their list for the push. Is there a reason that they're bought in and they understand the skill set of why they're going to do that? Number 2 is the how. Number 2 is the how. So how do I target people? How do I get directories? How do I get a lot of names and numbers? And I teach them how to have that conversation. I'm going to do a quick role play of that conversation and kind of how I get them to do that. So my objective is I want them to target and make a list of 2, 3, 4 moms. Maybe it's their mom, maybe it's their aunt, but I want them to target a few people that they can sit down with for 90 minutes and really work on building an attack list. Who are the most connected people in their community that if they get them on their side, that could be massive for their push period? So I go through the conversation with them, and we practice this conversation before they have it. Because if they get their mom tied in the right way, maybe it's their dad, maybe it's their aunt, maybe it's 2 of their best friends' moms they need to have this conversation. Everybody's different. But I teach them this conversation. Hey, let's say it's your mom. Hey, so you got, how many, 10, 15 names and numbers for your mom? Okay, here's what I would say when you go sit down with her and you're talking about building up the push period and you're getting ready for this. Hey, Mom, I want to sit down with you and I want to talk a little bit. Hey, when can we get a second to do that? Okay, cool. We get 10, 15 minutes here and there. Okay, perfect. All I need is 15 minutes the first time. Hey, Mom, I want to talk about this. It's super important. Okay, awesome. Hey, I have this push period that's coming up. And before I talk to you about that, you've heard me talk a little bit about the job. I need to share with you that this push period, it's different. I am shooting to get inducted potentially into our Leadership Academy. I'm shooting to have an opportunity to be a major player in our organization. And for this push period, I'm going to need help. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be successful at this either way. If you're not willing to sit down with me and help me out with this, I'll go sit down with 2 or 3 other people and I'll make this happen. But this is super important to me. I would really appreciate it if we could sit down for 90 minutes and just go after it. Like if you were doing this job and you were helping, you were building your attack list, a bunch of names and numbers, a bunch of people that I can call, I need to do 40 appointments in order to be able to set this push up for me. I need your help with this. And it would mean the world to me if we can sit down for 90 minutes or we can schedule a time where we can go through your cell phone, we can go through directories, we can go through the neighborhood directory, the church directory, everything, and create this list. Hey, can you please help me with this? This would mean the world to me. Like, do they do that or do they just try and get a few names from mom and dad, like 5 here? And they also should tell them, like, hey, when I did the demo for you for the first time, I know you gave me 15 recommendations. Like, I wasn't very good at this. I promise you that I'm going to do the demo the right way. I'm going to respect these people. This would mean the world to me. Like, do they get their close connections tied into that? So I have them target, whether it's 2, 3 people that they can sit down and have those types of conversations with. And then something else that they can do that some people I think kind of brush under the rug, I have them create a list of 3, 4 of their friends that they can get rosters or directories from for those networks as well. So it might be, hey, they played lacrosse, but they have a friend who is captain of the football team. Can they go get the roster of the football team from that person? Can they get hey, they've got a friend who was class president of a particular high school in their area. They're back after their freshman year of college. They haven't really kept up with that person, but how can they reconnect, go take them out to lunch, tell them what they're doing, and get their network, get that person's network and that list or directory from that school. I know they won't be able to call all of them. I don't have them cold call everybody in the neighborhood or everybody in that school, but I have them sit down with that person, talk about who are the people that they can use that name and use that connection, that family connection. So are you really getting strategic with this and doing it weeks in advance? Or is it just something, hey, it's Wednesday, and you remind them a few days before the push, hey, you got to have a lot of names and numbers to call? Like, are you being strategic with that? I would write that question down. How far in advance right now are you having your people prepare for that? Right, let's think about a realtor rep. Some of you guys might have realtor reps in your organization. How long do they spend researching their network and the offices that they have in their network? Like, how long do they spend on that? Look at their spreadsheet. Let's say I'm a financial planner. Let's say I'm a real estate agent, and I'm a successful one at that. What does my attack list look like? Like, do your people have that mindset and that concept behind their ammo and their attack list? Or is it just, hey, they're calling anybody that they can? So what's the process for organizing? Do they have a Google Drive spreadsheet? Do they have an Excel spreadsheet? Do you look at that spreadsheet? Do you know what that looks like? Do you know how they organize it? Because some people, it's like, hey, can I look at your spreadsheet? And they've got all these red marks about the people that said no to them. Can you think about the most unmotivating push period? You're sitting down, it's the Sunday, you're about to make 150 calls before the push starts, and your whole attack list has all these red lines through the people that said no, they didn't want to do demos, or they couldn't get a hold of, whatever, disconnected number. That's not being prepared, right? Do you check that, and are they ready for that? Next, PCs to corral your team. PCs to corral your team. I do these with the objective of creating my alliance, but I do want to have a PC with the entire team. I think sometimes we just, hey, these are the people that I want to have as my key players during the push, and we might just PC those people. I want everybody on board. I want every single person in my organization selling 3K or more during the push period. My metrics for my organization is We need to average in the summer $1,000 per rep per head on our team that turns in an order. So if we have 40 reps that turn in an order, that we need to do 40 grand in a non-push week. We need to do 2,000 a head in our push weeks. So if we have 40 reps that turn orders, that should be an $80,000 week. If we have 50 reps that turn orders, that should be a $100,000 week. So everybody needs to be tied in, not just your alliance. So here's what we want to accomplish in this PC. Number one, my vision for the push. Where are we taking the organization for this push period? What's the mission? Number two is, what can that rep gain from really stepping up for this push? What can that rep experience? Or is it going to be advancement opportunities? Is it going to be, they're going to have increased income, promotions? There's a lot of things that they can get from it, but what are they going to gain specifically? And do you know what their drivers are? Can you go into that PC already knowing their driver? But you better know their driver coming out of it, of why that push period could be big for them. Walk through the experience and don't scare people. I've seen some different alliance PCs. I've observed them. I've heard recordings. I've seen documents that say things like, this is going to be the hardest thing that you've ever done in your life. Who's ever said that before? Say aye. Aye. Oh my God. Like, you want to corral an alliance, but you want to tell them like, oh, you did 5 a.m. workouts for wrestling and you got up every morning and you shaved like 50 pounds for wrestling, but this is going to be the hardest thing in your life. Hey, don't sign this contract yet. Go home, talk to your parents about it. See if they're on board with you working really, really hard and not seeing them or having a meal with them for 14, 15, 18 days, and then come back to me and give me the contract because I want to know you're really in. Who's done that? Say aye. Aye. What are we doing to our people? I mean, we want our people to leave us or not be a part of our organization or not want to be a part of this alliance. Yeah, you get a couple of the right people like fired up. You also get people scared. Like, that's not a fun feeling to go into a push period, right? The type of feeling I want to have is I want to have a schedule map out with them. I want to share the experience. I want to get them excited about what they can earn. I want to map out what the schedule looks like. I want to set a personal goal for them of competition, income, whatever that is. And I want to find their why. What could this push mean for them? And then I want to make agreements with them. We have kids during SC2 that are gone for a week of it. We have kids that are gone for 4 days. I've heard people go, oh, going to be gone for 4 days? You're out, not on the alliance. But you want that person to sell $10,000, $15,000? They can. Are we putting detriments on our people and barriers to entry for top groups on our team by saying things like that and making people feel like that? So what's the agreements? Then we do have the alliance sign a contract, and if they're going to be out of town for a specific period of time, or they're going to miss 3 of the workshops, or something because of their personal schedule, I don't have them miss things that are personal to them during push periods. I don't have them cancel all of their workouts. I don't have them not go to gym practice if they're a big gymnast. I don't have them not do the things that are important to them because that's going to lead to frustration with the job. I don't want to come out of the job and they worked so hard, come out of the push and they work so hard for the push that they're negative on the job and not want to work after the push period. I want to take people from a level, maybe a 3, 4, of what they're performing at during the push. I want to take them to like a level 6, 7, maybe an 8 for my people who are going for big, big pushes. But if your people are trying to operate at a level 9, 10 of their capacity, they're not going to want to perform for you post-push periods, and they're not going to be excited about push periods in the future. I want to challenge people, but I don't want to put people in a position where they feel like they're killing themselves. Does that make sense? Light bulb, Jeff? Right? Okay. This is a parent event that I ran. Joe, how are we doing? I couldn't tell if that was... Okay, cool. This is a parent event that I ran. I don't know if you can see the picture. It doesn't look that clear from where I'm standing. But this was the largest event that we had going into our SC2 push period this year. I chose to run this event the Thursday before our SC2 push happened. We had 65 people in our training room. It was the biggest event that I think I've ever run in our office. It was kind of cool. What we did is we had, at 4 or 4:30 that day, we did our Alliance prep meeting where we reviewed the schedule, we did a skills check. We finished that. Actually, I think I did it at like 3:30. We finished that around 5. They phone jammed from 5 to 8 o'clock, and then at 8 o'clock, I had a food truck, parked out my parking lot of my office. They went outside, got food with their parents, hung out. We had cornhole, a bunch of games out there hanging out, and then everybody came back in for the meeting, and we had a meeting at like 8:30, 8:45, something like that. I think I started the meeting at 8:30 that evening. And what we did is I did opening comments at this meeting and shared the perspective of what I had done with the job and what my goals were of working with the types of people that I was working with. I also shared the opportunity to get inducted into Leadership Academy and the path that their son or daughter could be on when they're in college with us. So I kind of did a TLA promotion talk. We did some recognition for the summer as a whole so far at that point. Who were the people that were over $10,000 so far? We did our weekly recognition like we normally do. We gave away a bunch of prizes, PR prizes in front of everybody. There was a bunch of cash being given out. It was a cool event. We had parents coming away after that event going, that were at 9,000 or so for the summer. My daughter will be at $10,000 before the push. Like, I promise you, like when they're shaking my hand leaving. It was like that type of event. This mom, they were from St. Lucia, and she sold encyclopedias, back when she was in high school, and she was like leaving. It was so funny. She was like, her daughter was there. She was like, Jasmine, you will be at $10,000, in 3 days. I don't care what we need to do. We'll go door to door in our neighborhood. Like, we're going to make this happen. And Jasmine's like, yes, Mom. It was hilarious. And then I think the biggest thing that came out of that event, not just exposure, but I had my mom speak. And my mom, she worked for HP, Hewlett-Packard, for about 30 years. She's pretty good with groups. And she's a little quiet sometimes, but she knows how to get people on their side. And it may not be your mom or dad, but it could be somebody else like in your organization that you have a good relationship with a parent. But I had her give a message at the end about a parent's perspective of kind of the growth that she had seen in me. And the number one objective I told her of the message was get parents wanting to give their kids a lot of names and numbers and to make it easy for them to execute during a push period. And why you gave me all of your names and numbers and why you had zero hesitation for giving me business contacts and everything. And we had people that their mom or dad that were a lawyer or whatever that wouldn't give them names and numbers the day after their mom or dad submitted 30, 40, 50 of their top business contacts after that meeting. So just her talking about, hey, this is my son. Like, I'm not going to give my son a contact. Like, she was like, it was kind of funny. She would like call somebody. It was like, she's like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, you wouldn't recommend your son or daughter to somebody else? It was kind of funny. Like, and she's totally not like that. It's like she's super sweet, but it worked. And she crushed it. It was awesome. So if you want to hire Linda Jackson to come speak at one of your meetings, I can start a consulting firm for her. So this was a cool event. I would recommend doing something like this, definitely before your SC2. I think that's a big opportunity to do it. Maybe before your January push coming up, this is an opportunity as well. Number 3 is massive phoning leading into the push. And I'm going to speed up a little bit so I can make sure I have time to cover the last point. This is really simple. Here's my alliance expectations. I want them to make 250 calls before the push starts. And we need to have 20 demos as an alliance set up before the push starts. Okay? At an absolute minimum, every single person on our alliance has 15. So they make 50 calls on Thursday. They make 50 calls on Saturday. Then they make 150 calls on Sunday. And the way that we do that, if the push starts on Monday, that Sunday prior, we have 12 to 1. I have food. Everybody comes in, sets up their jam station, grabs food. They make 75 calls, take a break, then they make another 75 calls. And it's every single hour. Talk about running phone jams. That's the most important phone jam. That Sunday before a push period. How do you execute that? For us, every hour they come back in. They give an update of how many demos they scheduled. I've got them on the ground doing push-ups and burpees, and we'll do bows and toes, stuff like that. Like something to create energy. Okay. We'll yell, we get them all, we're ready to go. You guys know things like that about how to run a phone jam, but is it like, hey, that happens halfway through the phone jam and then you reconvene? Like, what's the energy like, in that phone jam? I think about team expectations. Don't forget about setting expectations for your team. For your team, they should have no less than 10 demos going into the push. Everybody on your team should have 10 demos going into the push. They make 100 calls, before the push starts. Next one is alliance execution. Alliance execution. And we do something a little bit differently, I think, than some people might do in their organizations. This is my SC2 alliance going into the push. Right after after our prep meeting. This was our SC2 alliance, and I had just gotten done announcing the contest that I'll tell you about in a second. We use a Zoom platform and we use WhatsApp. Some of you guys have heard about these two things. This was the first year for me. I had my best SC2 push we had in our office, and we had a strong one divisionally. I did not run a morning meeting at the office during the push. I ran it on Zoom. It saved our people between an hour and 2 hours of driving. Talk to your division manager about that, but for me, I personally did not want to go into the office every single morning at 7:30 the way that I had done in the past, and it's a great program. We've done it a long time, but I was able to get better results and save our people time. We learned some things through doing it the first time, but there were mornings where I had divisionally 100 people that I was coaching from 8 to 8:30 on Zoom. So it wasn't just our pilot. We did that for the whole division, and really like that as well. So it gives you an opportunity to get people engaged in your division, and you can have different people speak. I liked that a lot. We have a WhatsApp for our division alliance, and we have a WhatsApp for our pilot alliance as well. Make it a game, okay? Make this fun. Like, your people like games. Not all of your people on your alliance do, but how you set people and how you get people together is important. Teams of 3 to 4 people is what we do. We do a buy-in of $20. Everybody on our alliance buys in at $20. DM matches the total. So if there's 12 people on the alliance, you could do 4 teams of 3 or 3 teams of 4. And then we match. So there's a pot of $480. Here's how you earn a point. Sell $500 in a day, you earn a point. Schedule 4 appointments in a day, you earn a point. Get 2 sponsors in a day, you earn a point. And then obviously you can double. Here's how you lose points. If you're late to a morning workshop, you lose a point. So if you sign on at 8:01 instead of 8 o'clock, you lose a point for your team. People are mad. People are calling people out. If they don't show and they oversleep in the morning, they lose 3 points for their team. So their buddy sold $1,500 a day before, and then they overslept for a morning workshop, they lost all their points for their buddy earned. So I don't like teams of 2. I would not recommend doing teams of 2. But this is my SC2 contest that I do, and it gives you an opportunity to add point opportunities as you need to. Take a picture of that. You can ask me questions if you need to. Last thing I'm going to touch on is demo management. You need to know your team, okay? You need to know your team. So 10 demos equals how much in CPO in your organization? Which days are bigger for your organization? If you want to have a $50,000 week, let's say I'm looking at SC1, for example, and I want to have 2 $50,000 weeks and have a $100,000 SC1. Well, 1,500 per 10, I need 333 demos. This would kind of be my breakdown of what a typical week demo-wise would be. I know that my Tuesday is a kind of an average day, 50 demos. My Wednesday's a little lower because I have a team meeting. Thursday's solid because it's the day after. Friday's a pretty average day. Saturday's a little bit higher because my training class, but some of the people on my team don't work as hard on Saturdays. Sunday's a lower day because I have my alliance in setting demos, and then Monday's pretty solid day. Like, do you know how the business should flow and what to expect business-wise in your organization? And then how do you track that? And then where do those demos come from? Assuming the team has 25 reps, let's say on Sunday you got 20 jamming, 12 alliance members, 8 team members. Those 12 alliance members, I want to average 10, but let's say they average 8, that's 96 appointments. Well, 18 members times 5, 40 appointments, 136 total right now. Okay, I get to my Wednesday, I've got 20 jamming, 5 ahead. Goals to get more than that, like in the 6, 7 range. Let's say I get to 5. Be conservative, I'm at 236. training, let's say I launch 7 times 8 demos ahead first weekend. I want to get them to 10 average booked, but let's say 8 of them are in their first weekend. I'm at 292. I need to get to 333. I need 48 more appointments to get to 340. So I need to create 10 demos at minimum per day. And I have a focus. So if I'm not driving PDI, I tell the person, hey, I want to know at the end of the day, where do we create our 10, 15 demos from? I want to get an update on this. Here's how many demos we have for today, tomorrow. I live within the next 2 days. Today, tomorrow, and the next day. Live within the next 2 days. So those are some of the things that we do during push periods. If you want this keynote slides, feel free to reach out. I'll make sure that Trent and his staff have that stuff so that you can get those. Thanks, guys.